Test one, two, test, test. Hey, good morning, guys. It is Christian Martinez with Voyager Nation Soup Trucker Podcast coming to you live on this Monday, the 27th. So I'm hoping everybody is out there actually working the grind and actually is already picking up, getting yourself out of Florida. Remember, that is monumental to the success of your business. So do pay attention to that and keep that in focus. And if your dispatcher's not paying attention to that, they're not doing the right thing, give us a call. We'll help you out with that. All right. So as you can see, well, guys, what we do is we gather questions across our social media platforms. We put them all together. And then what we do is we answer these questions at 9 a.m. Monday to Friday. And so you guys can get the answers. A lot of first-time owner operators are always watching, who are developing, who are thinking about becoming an owner operator, buying that first truck and so forth. So that's what we do. And that's what we cover here. And we talk about our experiences that we go through on a daily basis and collectively combined and just kind of put them out there so people could learn through them and not necessarily have to go through the pain, right? So today I actually have two things I actually want to talk about today. And one of them is something that that I did experience directly. Just it was kind of interesting closing out last week with this topic. I was contemplating over the weekend, like, man, how do I approach this, or how do I describe it on the show without actually making it seem like I'm on one side of it or on the other side of it, but just really want to deliver something on a neutral basis. Just to kind of highlight what's actually broken in the entire process. So let me break this down. So I actually get a phone call, former colleague, I guess you want to name it, or something like that, in the industry, has a connection, actually has somebody that is an owner operator looking for an opportunity. So of course, I'm interested, right? My ears perk up. So let's go. We could always make something happen. But then comes the dilemma. So actually, he says the guy gets a warning. So apparently he got roadside inspected on, I want to say, like September, right, of this year, obviously. So right around that September mark, and he actually gets an out of service for the English proficiency test. So the guy gets out of service for that. So it is, to my understanding, let's spend some time on that, on what is really supposed to happen, right? When you get put out of service for something like this, because here we are, the guy's actually looking for some employment, or he's looking for, to lease onto someone. So what was all that out of service for? Is this, I do understand that he's going to have some PSP points on his PSP, obviously, and the carrier is going to have some CSA score points on their CSA, obviously, but he's still in the business. So this blame game and like what's supposed to happen next, who's accountable, who's liable, that's what I want to dive into, and kind of just like break it down. So we actually know that the guy is going to get immediately shut out of service on the scene. Boom. Right. So he can't actually move this truck. He's not even, in theory, again, I'm going by what DOT states is supposed to happen. So in theory, he's not even supposed to take this load or the truck anywhere, not even to the closest stop. What's supposed to happen is the carrier is supposed to send someone over to them to recover this truck and trailer. And then that person who is eligible can move it. So, that person is not supposed to drive that truck any further. All right. So to my understanding, there is no direct CDL suspension from it. It's just, you have serious consequences. So what they mean by that, I guess, is the, blemishes on the driver fitness, on the basics. So on the driver fitness, you're going to see that he was put out of service for the English proficiency test. So that will reflect on the guy's PSP for sure. And that's also going to reflect on the CSA of that company. All right. Now, you're going to be able to see it on that pre-employment screening. However, what's supposed to happen next? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no clarity as to, like, I think this guy should have to go requalify at that moment, because we're doing this or we're not. Like, that's what happened. So let me explain. This is the part I want to remain neutral, because it's always the blame game, and we're always continuing and moving forward, and we're not really fixing anything. It's like we got all this movement and no progress. uh, but if he's not going to be suspended there, right? So now we're going to enter this agony, right? So my guy has been looking for something. He's been available. He's been available to the industry. So let's be clear. He's made available to the industry from that carrier right around September 22nd, right? So I would assume right around there. So now we're talking a whole month. So for an owner operator not to be able to find some employment for an entire month, we all know that it should be a lot quicker than that. However, here we are, right? So we got some, how they want to do it is like, all right, man, like he's willing to drive teams with somebody else. And so that person knows how to speak, and it's going to be like this joint venture. And so he's actually looking for a way to make it happen, which is only natural, right? Anybody would be doing that, right? If your livelihood is altered, you're obviously going to look for that loophole. You're going to look for that way to continue to make money. So I don't necessarily blame the guy, because I would be doing that too. I'm going to find a way no matter what. I got this fucking truck in the driveway. Those people say I can't talk English, but nobody took my license. I'm going to continue looking. So you're really not taking much away from the individual. So either we're going to do this or we're not. That's my whole point, guys. I'm just saying that this blame game is so broken that I don't think anybody really wants to fix the freaking problem. So, and I'm not saying torture this guy. This has nothing to do with him in particular. It's just this blame game. So what we're expected to do, that if a guy, let's say this owner operator, has multiple out of services on his CDL, it can then maybe trigger DOT to take a look at him, but it would for definitely, potentially issue or cause an audit on the carrier. So now, but I don't understand, if he's getting this violation, right? Should he then not be suspended or have to go retake at a DMV at that moment? Like there should be something further for that individual to do. But we want to push it to a carrier. But you're still allowing him to have the resource of that CDL in his hand in order to continue to try to find a way. Because let's be clear, man, he's gonna run into somebody that's gonna take a chance. And now the saga continues, when you could have nipped it right there when he was put out of service, right? And they have the capacity to do that, because that's what SAP does, right? Like, somebody gets popped for that, and then they have the SAP program. Their CDL gets downgraded after a certain, if there's no effort into kind of getting into a program. Shit, like if your medical card isn't updated, they downgrade that. So there are ways. It's within the system already, but it's like we don't want to do it. So I'm just talking about this no man's land. I'm talking about this thing of like, it's all over social media. It's all over that. It's, but this is the part that doesn't make social media. This is the part like that people in the trenches, that people who live this on the day-to-day basis, which are running trucking companies, which are dispatching these guys, which are doing the insurance renewals, and even the guys that are, that are out there grinding and getting it and trying to make a living and making an honest wage. Like, you're still leaving it to people's discretion, which is how we got into this place, and this is how we got here in the first place. So I don't understand how we can all have commentary about this. It's like perfect clarity as to what should be happening next, but then once this guy is actually found on the side of the road, this one happened to be, I think, in Alabama or something like that, but then what? Like, there's no real clear answer as to what to what should actually be done next. So that's what, uh and then it's up to the employer. So the employer has to be the one that has to actually see if this guy can meet the standard now, and so forth. And then again, the burden is on the employer. Well, hold up. The state is the one that issued the test. So it is, from my understanding, that the state has to reevaluate the way they're issuing these things. And so should it then not go to the state level? At that point, the guy should be downgraded, go to the state, If he was a little bit nervous on the side of the road, and he can, in a more controlled environment, now my dude could pass that test, and then he got to, he can data queue that bad boy off, or whatever the situation may be. But then at least you would have some clarity as to the process. So it's like we got 90% of the way, and then we just fumbled the ball. Like there's no real clear answer, and it's open to interpretation, right? Because now any carrier onboarding this guy is like, all right, well, they didn't take his truck, so he still got his truck. They, he still got a CDL, is not suspended. Other than that, like what else is there? So I guess if DOT didn't do anything, then we're not supposed to do anything. So where's the clarity in all of this, right? And then the idea behind it is, what happens to the carrier? So now we got a carrier who has this violation under the fitness basic, right? So that's definitely going to happen. So we know about that. Boom. And I do believe it is the maximum 10 points. So it's, they want to make that as severe as possible. So it is going to be those maximum of 10 points. And they are penalized for permitting a driver who doesn't meet the qualification standards, right? So for using this guy. But at the same time, good morning. How you doing, Bear? Good morning. Good morning. So at the same time, they are also permitting it as well, because nobody suspended him. And that's where it kind of falls apart. So I'm just trying to be neutral on this bad boy. I'm just sitting right in the middle, kind of looking at this, right? So these guys are going to get penalized for using this guy, but DOT is allowing this guy to be available. So where's the ownership in that? Like that's where it's broken for me, right? So all right, so boom, you get CSI points assigned to you. Bada bing, you get 10 of those bad boys, which is the maximum, and he's going to get some too as well. So, and then you have the potential fine and audit, right? So FMCSA can actually fine the carrier for knowingly using the unqualified driver. But what about that you knowingly only left this guy out of service, and then that's it? Like, he's still out there, and he's not suspended, or he's not revoked, he's not downgraded, he's none of that. So so here we go. That's the piece that's broken, right? So they knowingly know he's out there. I mean, as they drove away, what do they think was supposed to happen next? Like who actually wraps this up? Like, like I said, we got 90% of the way there, and then everybody just walks away, and this is supposed to kind of like fix itself or rectify itself. So I don't know, man. Like, what do you guys think? Put that up in the comments. Has anybody out there actually been stopped for this bad boy? What happened to you after that? Are you still with that carrier, or did they have to throw you out? Let us know. Put that up in the comments. We're dying to know. All right, and so then I guess what's supposed to happen is, if the carrier has multiple similar violations, it can trigger a compliance review. All right, and then downgrade your safety rating. So then again, what about downgrading the guy's CDL at that moment? What was having somebody come to pick up that truck all about? If then after that it doesn't matter. So here we go. To the yes, the Facebook link did post. Thank you for that. So that's that's what we're doing, man. Like, so there, you're just looking at this in different angles. Like, now if that's going to trigger an audit, and now you're actually going to be you're actually going to get you're actually going to have this audit, and now you're going to go through the pain, because they're going to come, anybody out there who's ever experienced an audit, no way, shape, or form do you ever want to go through that. Like, it's not a good thing. It's you get through them and stuff like that. You can be prepared, but you're never really ready. It's a stressful event no matter what. Even if everything's in order, it's always just a little bit stressful because of what's on the line, right? That's somebody's everything. That's somebody's business. That's somebody's livelihood. That's, blood, sweat, and tears. Everything is on that line. So that's why I'm so passionate about, things like this, because, you're now going to be held accountable and judged on something that they left hanging. They just kind of left this hanging in no man's land, like left to get resolved by some kind of discretion, perhaps, like, and then there's no real clarity on what you should be doing, because they're not doing it. and then somehow you'll be judged on it based on whatever you decided to do. All right. So they'll see if it's good enough or not good enough. But again, they weren't very clear as to what you should be doing. And I get it. Maybe there's actually like absolutely no faith in actual in the actual DMV or the state level, right? So maybe there's actual no faith that they're able to do even the right thing. And we'll dive into that, which is our next story in a little bit. We'll get to that. Um, but here's what's very real, right? So this guy that I'm talking about, that I'm physically seeing, was actually able to, did get that put out of service, however he got it, or whether they actually made somebody go pick up that truck, finish the load, bada bing, all that good stuff must have happened, I assume. He is now shopping around, and he may actually find something. So what was all that for? Number one. But number two, the real pain is if that driver gets in an accident, and that is going to show, and that is reflected on his PSP as an issue, that is a major, major, huge civil liability. Man, well, they are going to have a field day with that bad boy. Like that is almost like kind of jumping into it. I want to jump in, but we're going to cover the story about that Ontario guy. Not the details, because that's all over social media. Everybody knows exactly what happened, but what comes next, right? The meat and potatoes of all of this, the people who are in the trenches, the people who are solving problems on a daily basis. How does it affect them? How does it affect the decision making? And here we go. We're actually left to like fend for our like just leave a lot of this stuff for, sorry guys, for interpretation, right? So now it's the civil liability or potential litigation that spooks the shit out of carriers, right? That's probably actually is what's going to make this guy not marketable, because who wants to touch that? But again, like, is that a good way to do this? Is that the best way to actually? Is this actually the best way to handle this? Is this actual solution to terrify carriers and anybody exposed to these individuals of what is potentially could come next? You know, is that the best way to solve this problem, or to have a clear cut solution where on the DOT side, government side, state side, whatever it is, it would just be clear cut. If the guy fails that English proficiency, just go down to your state level, re-examine in a nice little room, office, boom, and then you get a clean bill of health, or you don't. And then from there, everybody has clarity. Yes, even though it may be on his PSP, but then he's going to have a document that says, nah, man, I was able to pass, and here it is. And it's not open to the interpretation of everybody, is not open to the discretion of anybody else, because this is how we got here, right? So again, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just looking for logic. Put that bad boy in the comments. Has anybody ever been exposed to this English proficiency test? Did you fail? Did you pass? And if you did fail, what happened next, man? Did they let you go? Did they make you available to the industry? And how quick were you able to bounce back and actually find something? So here we go. The guy's still out there, still has the CDL. There is the blemish on the CSA, but we're like dying to slow death. And how much, if it was truly about safety, why does he still have it, potentially causing harm? Riddle me that. So anyway, again, maybe this isn't about logic. We're going to break down another story in just a bit. But first, let's get to the comments and see what's up here. All right. I got a beer here. It says, my medical was up in January. Concentra on Avenue Atlanta has been failing 2 out of 3 drivers that go there for blood pressure and glucose. They are in the main CDL medical examiner megas. All right, so here we go. Timothy, good morning. Hey, good morning, sir. Definitely had a blessed weekend, man. I hope you did too, brother. I'm taking a week vacation. Use it or lose it. I can carry 1 week over to the next. Here you go. State of Georgia is trying to hire more auditors per conversation with the scale operator. And I 20 too many small LLC carriers keep up. Leighton, what's up, brother? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, and even that, like even that. So this is what I'm actually talking about. So sounds like a good plan for anybody that's out there, right? Yeah, let's go hammer down, right? Everybody's for it. Hell yeah, mob mentality, right? But then what? To do what? To do this. And then nobody puts the nail in the coffin. Nobody is closing this deal. There's no closers. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just results driven, and like this isn't really a result. This is just kind of left in no man's land. Which leads to the next one, to that I don't even know if his name is, if I could say it, but anyway, Jan Preet. So everybody's heard about this guy in California, with that unfortunately three people expired and whatnot. So that is definitely never a good situation. Um, but again, we're here, and so let's talk about that, right? Uh, so what we're going to talk about is the timeline. And this is what I'm talking about. It's so nice to just make all these rules, right? And policies and procedures, and but if nobody is following them and there's no accountability on that level, it's for shit, man. It's for nothing. We're just talking shit, man. We're playing office. So Ernie, good morning, brother, man. How are you today? All right, so here's the timeline, right? So here we go. About June 27, 2025, California issued this guy the license with a K restriction. So K restrictions, for those who don't know, you have to be able to actually, you can only run intrastate because the dude's under 21, right? So boom, bada bing. So he gets his non-domiciled CDL, blah blah blah. We all know everything, that he shouldn't even have got it, but he got it, just like the rest of just like the rest of everybody else. So here you go. You have that as a situation, right? So right after that, in September 2025, they issue, our boy Sean Duffy actually issues a pause the CDLs, the non-domiciled CDLs. We're not doing that. Any state who doesn't freaking pay attention to that or actually follow suit with us, you're gonna get fined. We're gonna withhold funding, blah, 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 and all that good stuff. So then they actually they set forth on that, right? Which also should mean any kind of renewals, any kind of any movement on that CDL, whether it's renewal, upgrades, status changes, or anything like that, should trigger a closer look to investigate whether this CDL was permissible, and now they have to look at it to actually see if they now qualify under the new regulations. So whatever happens, that gets issued. So the guy gets his license under whatever it is, just like everybody else was getting it. And then the Sean Duffy announces it, and then now everybody's going to play ball. And then he actually gets an upgrade on his CDL. So what happened on his upgrade is actually the K restriction was removed, right? And that happened around October 15th. And so after the Sean Duffy and after the regulation, after the $40 million was withheld with him, and after all of that, the actual, he was actually the K was removed, the restriction, which is an upgrade because now this dude could go, OTR. He's now 21. So here it is, broken again, because at the level of the trenches where people are making decisions, where people are pushing paper, where people are dispatching, like in the meat and potatoes of everything, it's like no one has a clear instruction. Like, why wasn't this shit just yanked? Why wasn't it completely just stopped? That is what I'm asking. Like, it's just nice that, but none of this makes social media. Like, interview the fucking guy that gave him, like, that took it off. Interview, the DOT that let that guy go. Like, is that enough? Yeah, again, man, I get passionate about this just because, like, it's okay when people decide to make a movement or like to make a change, right? I'm all about that. Like, all right, cool, let's do this. But if we're gonna do it, let's freaking do it, right? Let's make it happen. Let's not just leave things vague. Let's not just leave things mid-air, and then all of a sudden we have nothing. We have nothing to show for it, right? So, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, get this content. It helps the content get in front of the right people. And so here we go. Nobody here is getting paid for none of this. So that goes a very, very long way. So we do definitely appreciate that. So please make sure you get that going. All right. So okay, so now shortly after getting that K restriction removed off of him when he should have never happened, where the people in the ground should have never allowed that to happen, then my dude has that fatality, right? So in short, man, is I'm like I'm just very curious, like how was he able to get the K restriction removed despite the new rules? That comes from the people in the ground. That comes from the people that are doing the daily work. Like that's where I'm talking about. There's no clear accountability for something like that. um it should have never been happening, and now what's really probably going to happen is they're going to come even more regulation into it. But if nobody can handle the regulation with the boots on the ground, there has to be a better way. There has to be, you know maybe it takes them scrubbing the list, right? Like it doesn't just fall on the carrier, because here's my whole point. The whole point is like, how come they're not getting, how come I don't even know if they aren't, but like, all right, so everybody knows there's a potential uh, a potential nuclear verdict coming around the corner, right? Boom. Ambulance chasers are having a field day with this kind of shit, right? Is that DMV that allowed that part of that equation? Or is it because this is a state it cannot? Like that's what I'm saying. Like the burden always goes to that carrier, but they didn't take the K off of it, right? Somebody downgraded that. It like other the people that are accountable for that should step up to the plate as well. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like if we're looking for some kind of solution to all this kind of shit, we got to just go back to we just got to go back to common sense. Like this is not that difficult. But when it's difficult, like once it enters into the political arena, polarized stuff, and once what's going to push on social media, I wonder how much traction this video will get, or my comment, versus oh, another one bites another accident, like you know here we go, another accident with a non-domicile CDLs. Well, here's a newsflash. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fatalities in accidents with just regular average guys with a blue passport. I'm just saying, safety is safety. But what I am saying is that this is the flavor of the month right now. But the details matter. Like that's what I'm getting at, guys. Like what happens once you corner this guy? What should be happening at that moment? So in theory, somebody should be accountable when they remove that restriction K, because that has to be done in person. You have to have a medical card for that. So here we go, guys. That's what I'm talking about. So please like, share, subscribe. Make sure you smash that like button. If a broker's whole, pay attention to all of that. The landscape of trucking is crazy, guys. There's a lot of stuff to be paying attention to. It's insanity. A lot of the things that we're also uh, a lot of the things that we're paying attention to is also credit on these brokers, and the amount of scams have been going up. I've even noticed, like in last week, just switching gears a little bit, I kind of vented already, so here we go. But another thing that what we're doing is also paying attention to those guys that making sure you're checking credit on everybody, because I mean, credit in the morning, they have credit in the morning and then they don't in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with some receivables that nobody's going to buy, and or you cannot collect. So paying attention, due diligence. It is that climate that you must be paying attention to these things. That's where a lot of these relationships come into place, and that is what we do best. We've been established for a very long time, and we work with these, with our customers, established customers for a very long time as well. So this is everything that gets considered when we're booking a load for one of our owner operators. We look at this thing as a totality, as a macro view of it, because what's the point of just dealing with brokers who don't have credit, now all of a sudden holding receivables? Guys, do not get caught up in that. And so if you're a first-time owner operator and you're thinking about doing your own thing, I actually met an individual last week that he's actually thinking about opening up his own authority, buying his own trailer and all of that good stuff. And we had an ability to actually talk about that. And, he's going to redevise his plan a little bit. because not everything has to get done at once, right? There is that learning curve for my guy who's never even booked a load. He has the purchasing power to get the trailer. He has the purchasing power to actually get his insurance, but he doesn't quite have the know-how. So, just because he has purchasing power doesn't make it any easy. You still have that learning curve. So it was nice to see that the individual was open to an idea. So long and behold, we should see him not too far from now, in the near future, rather, leasing on to us with the potential. And he still has his game plan. Eventually, he's going to do it all for himself, but he wants to move a little bit slower than he anticipated, because there were a lot of things that he didn't know of as he was starting that journey. And so that's the important part, guys, is education. Educate yourself about what it takes to be successful before you just jump into it without a plan and think that you're just going to figure it out. Especially with the trucking landscape that we have today. Is it possible? It is. You just got to make sure you're linked up with the right people, and then you should be and that's what's going to increase your odds to be successful. That's hands down for sure. We're taking plenty of calls, and this isn't to spook guys out of the industry, not at all. You got plenty of guys looking for trucks right now as we speak. I got people picking up at Low Mountain. I even got some people buying at Select Trucks, Arrow Truck Sales. So people are jumping in because they're confident in what they can do, which is run a good business, deliver on time, deliver safely. So, this isn't enough to spook them out of the industry. Hopefully it's not enough to spook you, as long as you're doing the right things. There has to be a shift. There's going to be a shift shortly where you're going to see them rates spike because supply and demand. I will assume there's going to be a lot more tightening in, higher restrictions. But I don't want to just say that it's the restrictions, guys, that is going to make the movement. I think it's the carriers, the carriers that are spooked on onboarding a guy like this, the insurance that looks at this. So it's kind of like the back office stuff starts to hit first, or speeds up the exit. These guys that are going to be exiting this industry, because they're going to run out of places to go to. And it's done because of that accountability pushed on that end. But it's almost like you're punished because of other people's wrongs, and then there's probably a better way. But here we go. So do pay attention to that, my people. And if you are that first time owner operator, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon. But not just that, give us a call, 863-342-5171. We'd love to hear from you, talk shop a little bit, and see what it is that you might be, what your business plan is, and how we can help you execute that bad boy. So here we go. Let's go to the comments a little bit, dig through them. Good information on the channel. Even if a company driver, we have to become self-employed and aspire to be. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Always plan to do better. Always progress, move forward. Here we go. So absolutely. Thank you for that as well. Nobody should be excited over accidents. Definitely. We all lose in a small way, and adds up. Yeah, that's my whole thing right there. While people playing the blame game, like, everybody's losing in an event like this. So I'm just saying, like, a nice little process to, like, actually just stop the bleeding. That's all I'm saying. Like, like, whatever it is, let's make something happen. So they should have actually suspended the guy till further notice, until he can go or downgrade that CDL immediately, until he can pull into an office and get it addressed. I don't understand what's so hard about that. But at least that way, you're not open interpretation, and then you would not be allowing for him to continue to run around to eventually fall on the lap of a carrier that's willing to do that. All right, so here we go, guys. All right, we use Apex Capital, Real Deal, high standard credit checks. Be careful with Dun & Bradstreet. Those scores can be pumped up and slightly manipulated. Yeah, so that's for sure. Using the reputable factoring is so monumental to your business, guys, especially the guys that are out there. I'm telling you, man, you could, in this day and age, you could actually blink and have freaking $15,000 tied up in a heartbeat. And it's even kind of weird, man. Like, I don't even understand how it's legal, but I have been in a situation where, let's say you have a situation where a guy, unfortunate incident out there, accident, at fault, not at fault, doesn't even matter. So you're on a basic load, let's say, I don't know, $2,000 load. And then what has happened, we have lived this, where all of a sudden they actually put all receivables on hold. So like if you got 10,000 on the books, and they use Triumph or Apex, or most guys the Triumph or whatever, they're putting this shit on hold. And now they're not paying you for that, and obviously there's going to be a process to get them to release that and all of that. But again, like, I don't even understand how that's legal. So pay attention to all of that. And there's that is out there rampant. Everybody's almost like protecting their own and whatnot. But again, like, um we're just letting you know to pay attention to these things, because the climate is changing, guys. So that's why you need to link up with a reputable carrier that knows this back office paperwork and processes, and can be able to actually navigate in these waters to ensure that people are making their money. So remember, our owner operators get their money regardless, because we're doing that due diligence. And here we go, I've seen that happen. So put it up in the comments. Has anybody actually been in that similar situation that we've been? It's a shitty spot to be, but all the receivables from that one broker are held up simply because of one accident that has nothing to do with it. And the crazy part, fully insured, everything is actually normal. It's not like it's there's no claim, there's no product was damaged, there's like none of that. And so, but here you go, they just get spooked, and for whatever reason, this is something that they're allowed to do. I'm not really clear why the factoring company would allow them to do that, especially on their platform. But nevertheless, this is kind of what we're seeing out there. So guys, make sure you're taking care of that, consider that. And so that's why that conversation last week that I was telling you about, with the individual that was actually thinking of doing everything on his own, talking about these things. Because imagine it's the guy's, fucking month 2 or month 1 even, and he runs into something similar like this. Or, grand opening, grand closing. He's not going to be able to sustain this. So, imagine that, because for us, let's say it's, which is still a lot, even if it was, let's say, 3% of what we have out there is tied up. Imagine that guy, and he's a one-man army, and it's 50% of what he has out there. It's 60, 70%. And that could be very easily, because, sometimes you're booking a load with that broker, and then he got you the reload, and then there you go. So you're 100% so far on 2 loads. He's holding all of that. So do pay attention to that guy. It is monumental. So here we got comment: holding accounts payable over load claim is not legal, but most brokers try it anyway. It's pressure game. They'll hold it for if you let them. Stay sharp and fight smart. Yeah, for sure. And that's it. That's the back office that has to do, man. Like, I'm telling you, it comes everything to, emailing everybody. And, well, I'm not going to give away all our secrets, but you have to stalk them with the same tenacity, the same cunningness that they're bringing, what they're bringing to you. You got to just be able to return that and be diligent. But it takes manpower. It takes time. It takes people with know-how. It takes people who have the same amount of grit to be able to do something like that. And that is that back office stuff that people are receiving when they lease on in with Voyager Nation. So for those owner operators who are looking for that opportunity, that are looking for this, business like-minded individuals that can help you step up your game, we're here to help. 863-342-5171. You got to give us a call and find out what we're all about. I'm sure we could do some business and improve your situation. Okay. Got a little bit more of comments here. So we got, thank you. Since the company I work for is slowly eliminating teams and older drivers through attrition, my comrades, myself are researching buying a truck we can borrow from our 401ks. Okay, here you go. The only thing I would say, man, that's cool. We just say it all the time. I wouldn't necessarily go buy that truck cash if you're going to pull from that 401k. I'm just saying, that's my opinion. There are plenty of programs out there. So, for example, like the Low Mountains of the world, minimal down payment, and you get yourself into a really, really nice truck, reasonable monthly payment. We're talking always under $2,000. And so I think you should consider something like that. So just pay attention to what's out there. I get that a lot of guys fall in love with the idea to pay something off cash, but not necessarily is, in my opinion, is that the best thing. Like, I don't think an owner operator should be scared of a $1,600 monthly payment. That's not something to be scared about. I just see it as a cost to do business. So as long as you got the right people behind you and the right mindset, I think you're going to be okay. Just because you pay something off in cash doesn't necessarily equal success. So do pay attention to that, right? Like we say it all the time, make sure that you're buying the best truck that you can afford. So we're always preaching that as well. Keep an eye on the miles. We have noticed, like in the recent times, where a lot of high mile trucks are starting to hit the inventory. So literally now, well, it's not like a little bit more, but about a month and a half ago, we were able to actually see those trucks with 350,000 miles, or sometimes even some on a good day, you can find under 300,000 miles. It would be there on the inventory. But now, not so much. So that climate is definitely changing, my people. So if you're actually thinking of something like that, do pay attention. So now that you mentioned that, I'm actually curious. Let's check out this Lone Mountain, as we always do. We just kind of gauge on what type of inventory they have. Let's see if it changed anything from last week. They got 5 more in stock. 2019 Peterbilt, 3,000 down. All right, they got some internationals, but now I'm curious, right? Because they got some international LTs, guys, and they are 6,000 down. So I'm assuming that those miles are going to be lower. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So I know some of our guys were watching, so some more hit the fleet. Now there are only 6 of them available, but they have miles under 350,000 miles. So here you go. But again, the down payment would be 6,500, but nevertheless, it's 1,695 a month. Very reasonable, because now if you even add the plates into that, once you add the physical damage and the bobtail insurance into that, the monthly maintenance, the maintenance reserve, you're talking under $2,000 a month, right? So all right about there, but I think that's a strategy on them. So here we go. Do pay attention to that. Those details matter. I don't even know how long these bad boys are going to last out there, guys. So if you are looking, they have a few of those. I know I spoke to a couple individuals last week. They were kind of skimming through their inventory, didn't quite see what they like, but here you are. Here we are. So they do have some. Just you got to be able to get your hands on one. So you can only do that by making sure you give them a call, and not just that. These haven't moved. Those the day cabs have not moved. They got 8 in stock. I don't know who would buy those, but hey, I don't know. So they have some here with $3,000 down payment. Let me show you that real quick. Just trying to get an idea of the miles on this bad boy. All right, so here we go. So with 3,000 down, we're already jumping into the 500,000 miles and above. So this bad boy has got 509. So if you're on that website, I guess what you got to look at the details. Obviously, a little bit more money down is going to get you less miles on that truck, but I definitely think it's worth it. I mean, think about it. For $3,000, you're talking about literally 200,000 miles less. Like, that's a lot of meat on that bone that buys you that in that 36 months that you're going to have this truck, is improving your odds for success tremendously. So I think that $3,000 is very well spent. I think that's major, because going for a higher mileage in the 600,000s, let's say you get a breakdown, what you were saving on that down payment can potentially get eaten up on some kind of repair. So again, there's an ass for every chair, as they say. But guys, pay attention to what's out there. Again, we always recommend you take a look at that at the mileage, engine hours, and all that good stuff. So guys, the landscaping is even changing on that. Like, this is exciting. This is actually exciting times for trucking, man. A lot of things are moving. Gets this great opportunity for, like, this reset means opportunity for a lot of people. Now you gotta love operating in pressure. You got to be able to thrive in that environment, and that's what our dispatchers do best, guys. That's one of the main reasons. Whenever considering a carrier, you definitely consider us as being your number one choice, because that's where we thrive. That's where we do best. So to learn more about what we got going on, it is 863-342-5171. Give us a call. We got recruiting on standby. We'll be glad to take your call and give you information about what we do. All right, guys. So as we're bringing it to an end, let me actually scroll through some of these comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Let me check this Facebook real quick. All right, nothing there. I guess I'm not, nothing on that one. All right. All right. Not if I got a comment here. Not if that cash can earn good interest. Just a reserve, transition the 401 into S&P. What truck will under want a truck still under warranty? We currently run 6,000 miles per week, 15,950 on our schedule, up to 6,600. Okay, so here you go. So if you are looking for some of those bad boys with warranty, I'm not beer gut. I'm not saying you use these guys. I'm just giving you a resource. Whether you use them or not, that's up to you, brother man. However, check them out, because a lot of their stuff does come with this warranty, 2 years, unlimited miles, bumper to bumper, on some of their trucks. Not all of them. You just got to dig in. I think on the internationals they do. Yep, right here, 2-year unlimited mile bumper to bumper warranty. And I even think they come with Virgin tires. Man, I sound like a commercial for them, man. They're not even sending us a check or anything like that. But nevertheless, a lot of our guys have been successful with their program. That's why we actually talk about it, because we're seeing who's out there, and what our guys are saying and what they benefit from. All right. So yes, super truckers, guys, it is Monday. If you're not hitting the road, you're not trucking. Let's go. Get out there. Go get what you're worth, for sure. And if done correctly, you should have been dispatched on Friday, so you're already actually probably picking up by now on this Monday at 9:54. But again, if that is not your scenario, definitely give us a call. It is 863-342-5171. All right, my people, I must get to my day job. It has been a pleasure. We will touch bases tomorrow. So until then, be safe, drive safe, and we will talk to you then. All right.